The hospital room was silent except for the steady rhythm of a heart monitor, but behind those closed eyes, everything was being heard. The billionaire everyone believed had slipped into an unresponsive coma was completely awake. He had chosen silence over speaking because he wanted to discover who truly cared about him when they believed he could never hear another word. What he uncovered was far more heartbreaking than betrayal, far more powerful than wealth, and it would change two lives forever in ways no one could have imagined. If you believe kindness and second chances can change lives, please take a moment to like this video, leave a comment, share it with someone who believes in hope, and subscribe to Ripple of Kindness for more emotional stories that stay with you long after they end. Adrian Mercer was only 46 years old, but years of endless meetings, sleepless nights, and constant pressure had left invisible scars that money could never erase. As the founder of one of the country's largest technology companies, he had everything people dreamed about. He owned luxurious homes, expensive cars, private aircraft, and investments worth hundreds of millions. Yet every evening he returned to a mansion that echoed with silence. His wife had passed away from illness years earlier, his only daughter had drifted away after believing her father cared more about business than family, and most of the people around him seemed interested only in what they could gain from his fortune. Everything changed on a bright spring morning when Adrian suddenly collapsed during a charity board meeting. He was rushed to a modern city hospital where doctors stabilized him after a serious medical emergency. Although he regained consciousness much sooner than expected, he overheard conversations that shattered the last pieces of trust he still had. Some relatives were already discussing inheritances in the hallway. Business partners quietly debated how quickly they could replace him. A legal advisor whispered about controlling company decisions while Adrian was unable to respond. Instead of revealing that he was awake, Adrian made a decision that surprised even himself. With the help of one trusted physician who respected his wishes, he allowed everyone to believe he remained in a coma. It was risky, but Adrian wanted to know the truth. He wanted to see who would stay when there was nothing to gain. Days slowly passed beneath bright daylight pouring through the hospital windows. Nurses rotated through different shifts. Doctors completed examinations. Visitors arrived carrying flowers more for appearance than affection. Many stood beside his bed speaking about financial matters instead of hoping for his recovery. Adrian lay perfectly still while disappointment quietly filled his heart. Then one Monday morning, a new nurse entered the room. Her name was Elena Brooks, a 32-year-old registered nurse with gentle brown eyes, dark hair tied into a neat ponytail, and a calm smile that somehow made the entire room feel warmer. She greeted Adrian every morning as though he could hear every word, carefully adjusted his blanket, checked his medications, opened the curtains to let fresh daylight fill the room, and played soft instrumental music during routine care. Unlike others, she never rushed. Elena believed every patient deserved dignity, whether awake or unconscious. She spoke about the beautiful weather outside, blooming gardens near the hospital entrance, children laughing in the nearby park, and birds gathering in the trees every morning. Adrian could not answer, but inside he found himself looking forward to every shift she worked. Outside the hospital, Elena's own life was quietly falling apart. Her father needed ongoing medical treatment that insurance barely covered. Her younger brother had left college to work multiple jobs after their mother passed away years before. Elena worked long daytime shifts, often skipping meals just to save money for her family's bills. She smiled at every patient because she refused to let personal struggles steal compassion from her work. Weeks passed, and Adrian noticed something remarkable. Elena never treated wealthy patients differently from ordinary ones. She cared for everyone with equal patience. She comforted frightened children, encouraged lonely elderly patients, and quietly cleaned rooms without complaining when the hospital became busy. One afternoon, sunlight streamed through the large windows as Elena believed she was alone with Adrian. She gently replaced fresh flowers beside his bed before quietly sitting in the visitor's chair. Her shoulders seemed heavier than usual. She looked exhausted, yet she still smiled softly. Without expecting any response, she admitted something she had never shared with anyone inside the hospital. She said she sometimes wished life would pause long enough for her family to breathe again. She explained how medical bills continued growing, how her father apologized every day for becoming a burden, and how she secretly worried about losing their small childhood home. She confessed she had been offered a higher-paying position at a private clinic but refused because she loved caring for patients who needed kindness more than luxury. She quietly admitted that some nights she cried during the drive home, not because she hated life, but because she feared she could never do enough for the people she loved. Then came the words Adrian would never forget. She said that if the man lying in front of her could somehow hear her, she hoped he knew that his life mattered far beyond his bank account. She said every person deserved someone to believe in them, even during their darkest moments. She hoped that if he ever woke up, he would spend whatever time he had left rebuilding relationships instead of chasing another business victory. Those words struck Adrian more deeply than any business deal or financial success ever had. For the first time in years, he realized someone saw him as a human being instead of a billionaire. The following morning, Adrian finally opened his eyes. The room froze in complete surprise. Doctors hurried inside while monitors confirmed what everyone hoped to see. Elena stood near the doorway with tears of relief filling her eyes. Adrian smiled weakly as daylight filled the room once again. His recovery amazed the medical team, but what shocked everyone even more came after he was discharged. Instead of rushing back to company headquarters, Adrian spent weeks quietly rebuilding his personal life. He reached out to his daughter, Amelia, with sincere letters accepting responsibility for the years he had allowed work to replace family. He never asked for immediate forgiveness. He simply promised to become the father she deserved. At the same time, Adrian asked his attorney to investigate Elena, not to search for mistakes, but to understand the challenges she had quietly carried alone. Everything he had heard was true. She had never asked anyone for help. She had never accepted special favors. She simply continued serving others every single day. Rather than handing her money, Adrian designed something much more meaningful. Through his charitable foundation, he established a healthcare assistance program for hardworking nurses facing family medical hardships. Elena became the first recipient, but only after an independent review confirmed her dedication and financial need. Her father's treatments were fully covered. Her family kept their home. Her brother returned to college with scholarship support funded through the same program. When Elena discovered who made everything possible, she was overwhelmed. She had never expected kindness to return to her. She believed she had simply been doing her job. Adrian gently explained that true compassion deserved recognition, not because it expected rewards, but because it inspired others to live differently. News of the program spread across hospitals throughout the region. More business leaders joined the initiative, creating funds for nurses, caregivers, and healthcare workers facing personal hardship. What began as one quiet confession inside a peaceful hospital room became a movement that transformed countless lives. Months later, Adrian returned to the hospital, not as a patient, but as a volunteer visitor. He spent afternoons listening to lonely patients whose families rarely visited. He understood better than anyone that healing often began with being heard. His relationship with Amelia slowly grew stronger. They shared simple lunches, long walks through city parks during sunny afternoons, and conversations they should have had years earlier. Trust returned little by little, proving that even deeply broken relationships can heal when pride is replaced with humility. Elena continued working in the same hospital despite receiving many prestigious job offers elsewhere. She believed kindness belonged where it was needed most. Every morning she greeted patients with the same gentle smile, never mentioning the foundation or the life-changing support she had received. She wanted every patient to feel equally valued, whether wealthy or struggling. Visitors often noticed Adrian sitting quietly in hospital gardens during the daytime, watching families laugh together beneath clear blue skies. He no longer measured success by company profits or luxury possessions. Instead, he measured it by restored relationships, grateful smiles, and opportunities to lift others before they fell. If this story touched your heart, please like this video, leave a heartfelt comment, share it with friends and family, and subscribe to Ripple of Kindness so more people can discover stories that remind us the smallest acts of compassion often create the biggest changes. Before this story ends, please comment below. Kindness always finds its way back. Your words may encourage someone who desperately needs hope today. Adrian had entered the hospital believing the greatest threat to his life was a medical emergency. He left understanding the real danger had been living without genuine human connection. Elena never became wealthy in the traditional sense, but she became something even rarer. She became living proof that quiet compassion can change hearts that money never could. Their lives crossed because of unexpected circumstances, yet together they reminded everyone around them that the greatest miracles rarely begin with extraordinary power. They begin with ordinary kindness offered without expecting anything in return. And somewhere, in a bright hospital room filled with daylight, where one man once pretended to sleep while searching for truth, hope quietly awakened two hearts that would spend the rest of their lives helping others discover that love, forgiveness, and compassion are the richest treasures anyone can ever possess.